Is your homeschool family tired and bored of using science curriculum? What if you could homeschool science without unwanted curriculum, following your child's top science interests? Today in this video, I'm going to show you some easy steps that will help you replace unwanted science curriculum. How? By embracing the fun and wonder of your child's top science learning interests, which is also a super great way to cover your summer learning. Stick around until the end of this video for something special that I have for you and your family that will help your homeschool science get away from standardized science drudgery. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead now and hit that thumbs up and subscribe button below. Ding the bell next to the subscribe button so that you'll know immediately when I release the next homeschool math and science video. Awesome. Hi, I'm Gloria Brooks, and I've been an online homeschool math and science teacher facilitator for kids ages 8 and up since 2010. Today we're going to talk about how you can revolutionize your homeschool science learning through child interest-led learning, starting with, wait for it, step number 1, by going to the children's science section of your local library and checking out science books. Really easy, right? Tip: invite your child to look for their own science books to check out. By inviting your child to look for their own science books, you help empower them to take responsibility for their own education, starting with what they're most interested in learning about science. In most mainstream education, science is typically force-fed to kids, whether they want to learn it or not. But as a homeschooler, you can change that by introducing your child to science through beautiful, richly illustrated living books. They won't be able to help but get excited again about learning about the world around them, just like they did when they were babies before they went to school. Look for visual science encyclopedias and experiment books. So while your child is busy looking for their favorite science books, you can look for all the visual science encyclopedias and experiment books that you can get your hands on. Search for them like treasure in a treasure hunt. If the science encyclopedias aren't in the science section, they might be in the reference section of the library. Ask the librarian for help if you need it. Once you find the encyclopedias and experiment books, ask your kids which ones they're the most interested in and set those aside for checkout. All right, so let's have a look at my top 2 visual science encyclopedia picks. And here we have on the left DK's Knowledge Encyclopedia of Science. And then on the right-hand side, we have the Usborne Science Encyclopedia. Now, your library may or may not have these, but you can just get ones that are similar. You'll want to get pictorial encyclopedias. So check the links in the description below to look through these two and even order them. You can even order them affordably online if you want. Believe me, you and your kids will want these two hanging around your house for years to come. Find the latest versions as you can of science encyclopedias in your local library or online for the most up-to-date information. Now, using oldies but goodies and other brands of visual encyclopedias is perfectly fine too, of course, but aim to find the most up-to-date to add to your mix as well. So here are my top science experiment book picks. First, we have Janice Van Cleve's Big Book of Science Experiments. Next up, we have, in the middle, Neil Ardley's 101 Great Science Experiments. And finally, my favorite, an oldie but goodie, this is Janice Van Cleve's 201 Awesome, Magical, Bizarre, and Incredible Experiments. All 3 of these are great for all ages, including middle schoolers. The reason I love Janice Van Cleve's older science experiment books is because each experiment has a short read and very simple materials list made up of items that you would just have laying around the house. So you can have a look through all 3 of these science experiment books by clicking on the links in the description below. I have those for you. Now, after you and your kiddos have selected all your science books at your library, check them all out. So now, if you don't have access to a library for whatever reason, or you also want to supplement real books with ebooks, You can also use online libraries such as Project Gutenberg, Internet Archive, and Hoopla. And there are so many others. It's just amazing. There are new ones sprouting up every day. Now, if you use Hoopla, for example, you will have to sign up and use your local library card number. Links for these free online libraries are found in the description below. These online libraries have extensive search engines that will allow you to look for science ebooks. So together with your children, you can search for books using key phrases, book titles, books by author. And my personal favorite, because of its ease of use, is hands down the Internet Archive. You can find it at archive.org, link in the description, along with the other two online library books. I also like how archived, how you can just click the pages and it turns like a book. It's just really cool. Awesome. Step number 2, write down your child's favorite science topics in a journal. This list will be the jumping off point for your homeschool science learning this year and for years to come. So keep adding their interests to this list as they come up, and keep your family's learning flexible as your child's interests will change, or they may hyper-focus on one topic for weeks to months. I also have a free unit study planner. Guess where you can find it? In the description below. This will help you get further organized, and it's a really great thing to have. Really simple to use. This way you can pull out all of your math, reading, writing, literature, history, art, science projects, and experiments from their top science interests, saving you hours of frustration and prevent you from choosing the wrong curriculum that your family could end up hating. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. Step number 3, read aloud to your family from your child's chosen science books. If you don't already do this, have your kids choose what books they want read aloud to them. Again, this small distinction allows your kids to take on the responsibility of their education and gives them a voice. Hot tip, read aloud to your kids at least once per day, every day. More is even better. You can never read aloud to your kids enough. Reading aloud is a fabulous way for non-readers to start learning to read. Forget about spelling books and penmanship and whatnot. I mean, all that's great and all, but if you're reading to your kids on a daily basis, their magnificent brains are picking up grammar, spelling, context, so many reading skills. You don't need textbooks for learning these skills. Reading aloud is something that humans have been doing for other humans for eons. So skip the fluff of unnecessary curriculum, and you can teach all the skills right here just from reading aloud science books to your kids. It's really awesome. Step number 4, check out storybooks about famous scientists from your child's favorite topics. Once you have a handle on what your children's current favorite science topics are, you can head back to the library or jump online using any of the free online library resources I just shared with you, such as archive.org or Hoopla, and find kids' storybook science biographies about scientists who became experts in the fields of science that your kids are most into. Step number 5, get your kids' favorite science topics, resources, and create a home lab. Get science resources such as games, microscopes, rocks and minerals collections, and set up a home lab area with the resources. This will encourage your child to dive into hands-on projects and experiments. Pro tip, have an outdoor lab too. Depending on how messy your kids like to get, you could also consider having a covered outdoor lab, perhaps a specially designed lab tent. You can get an easy washable floor surface like a rubber mat, which can be taken outside and hosed down. You could also get a rubber mat for the indoor lab area too. Set up some tables, bring in the science resources and lab equipment, and you have an instant outdoor mess lab. Another pro tip, allow your kids to ideally become mad scientists in this space, uninhibited, within reason, of course. We don't want anyone getting hurt. Your kids will love you for this. Step number 6, explore outside in nature. So my best pro tip of all today is to study science right outside, starting in your backyard with just a magnifying glass. Here's my student Jenny doing that very thing, looking at moss with her magnifying glass. You can then branch out, exploring your local neighborhood, park, and nature center. Now, if you have a nature center in your area, check out their local nature center in person classes. Explore the woods together as a family. Remember, nature is science. And now for the special thing that I promised you at the beginning of this video. Most kids love to study marine life, so I invite you to check out my Sharks online unit study in the description below. This is an online mini course for kids ages 8 and up. Younger siblings also love to join in with guidance from their parents and older siblings. If you haven't done so already, give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below. I read every single one. Have a look at my playlist, which should have popped up somewhere on this screen, on this video. My playlist about homeschool math and science unit studies. Click on that image here, and I'll see you in the next video. Awesome.